Governor, you never say that X would be a great senator in any of those tapes. What you're saying is, if I give them the senator they want, what seat in the cabinet and the UN can I get? And in other recordings, you're saying, if I give this seat to somebody, what can I get in terms of hundreds of thousands of dollars of campaign contributions?
Well, let me discuss that. Less than 2% of the tapes were played in court by the prosecutors. They put in what they thought were the ugliest tapes. These are conversations that I had with lawyers and staffers, brainstorming, exploring ideas. You just played the one with me saying UN ambassador, and then I said the Russian MFers, and again, I apologize for the profanity. I'm joking around in some of those conversations. I'm brainstorming, exploring things, discussing things, probing.
Wait. When you say that I got this effing thing and it's effing golden, yeah, and I'm not giving it away for effing nothing, you don't sound like you're joking. You sound like the Senate seat of Barack Obama is a prize, and I'm going to sell it.
Well, that's how they make it sound when they take it. No,
that's the way you make it sound, sir.
Well, but you don't hear the whole conversation. You would assume that after I say that, the next thing is I want $5 million in a Swiss bank account, which is, of course, absurd, and I'd never, ever would intend to do anything like that. I was discussing with one of my advisors the possibility of political horse trading that we might be able to have. You know, I could have made myself a U.S. senator. If this was about a job for me, I could have immediately made myself a senator, or my wife, or, you know, a friend. I had the power to do that. I was trying to consider a variety of options, consider every conceivable idea, and again, 98% of the tapes were not played in court. You ought to hear what I said about Oprah Winfrey.
You have the tapes, Governor. If you wanted to play the other 98% of the tapes, you could have played them. You didn't choose to play them. Let me ask you.
I wish that was true, Chris. No, the rules of evidence and the prosecutors objected to us playing the tapes that we wanted. Ultimately, if we were going to be able to put a case on, I think the judge agreed to allow us to play something like 15 tapes. Okay, I have challenged the prosecutor publicly, release all the tapes to the public.
Sir, you could have played tapes that got you off the hook if you wanted to. You chose not to. But the crime spree that Pat Fitzgerald, the U.S. attorney, the prosecutor, was talking about, that he says he stopped, was that you were about to appoint someone to the Senate seat in return for big campaign contributions. Question: didn't you meet with Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. on December 8th, the day before you were arrested?
I did, and both Congressman Jackson and I would tell you we never once discussed money. And if in fact that were the case, then you have to ask yourself, why didn't the prosecutor charge Congressman Jackson? And then ask yourself this, and I was a prosecutor, when you do a surveillance and you're about to see two drug dealers make a deal, you don't stop them before they make the deal. You wait until they do it, and then you arrest both of them. What that prosecutor stopped was a political deal.
But a deal is not the same as a governor appointing someone to the United States Senate. In fact,
well, it never happened.
If I may ask, didn't you, weren't you on tape talking with advisors just before you met with Jackson, in the days in December before you met with him, about, one, getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign contributions from him and his supporters, and two, about getting money from him up front to show that he would be good for the big money?
Chris, I challenged the prosecutor to release the tapes on December 8th. December 7th, December 6th, December 5th.
You're not answering my question.
10 days before.
Did you or not discuss that?
You will see the full conversations and the full context.
Did you say that or not, sir? Did you talk about getting money from Jesse Jackson up front? Quote.
I don't. There was a tape played in court where my brother was approached by a representative who talked about the Jackson people offering something like $1 million, $1.5 million in campaign contributions. My brother very clearly said, money will have nothing to do with this decision. This was never about campaign contributions. What the prosecutor stopped was a political deal where Rahm Emanuel was helping make happen. Congressman Costello possibly could have been involved. Harry Reid is on the phone talking to me. Senator Menendez is on the phone talking to me. They were helping me make a political deal to create jobs through public works, health care expansion, and a written promise not to raise taxes. Okay. And I went to bed that night thinking that deal was a day or two away, and this prosecutor arrested me to stop that deal. They should play the tapes on December 8th, December 7th, December 6th. I will waive any rights I have to play those publicly so you can see them all and hear them all. I challenge the prosecutor to do it, but he won't, because he knows what the truth is.
Governor, let's talk about another charge against you. Didn't you agree to raise Medicaid reimbursement rates, increase payments to Children's Memorial Hospital in Chicago but you expected to get big campaign contributions.
See, here's another example of how upside down this case is and how they're lying. And again, the person from the hospital who's a member of the Illinois Hospital Association, it's an organization that's a PAC that raises money for candidates, he testified under oath that for 6 years he was trying to get an increase in reimbursement rates for doctors who care for kids. He went to the state Senate, no. Went to the House, no. Went to my staff, couldn't get it. The former Cubs manager, Dusty Baker, called me. Dusty Baker called me and brought my attention to the issue. I called that guy. I found the money for them. They got the money.
Wait a minute. Wait. Governor, let's listen to a conversation that was played in court of a conversation that you had with your deputy governor, Robert Greenlee.
The pediatric doctors, the reimbursement, is that going out yet or is that still on hold?
The rate increase?
Yeah.
It's January 1.
And we have total discretion over it?
Yep.
So we could pull it back if we needed to. Budgetary concerns, right?
We sure could. Yep.
Okay. Good to know.
And during the trial, Governor Greenlee, your deputy governor, said this: I didn't know why I was being asked not to move forward, but I knew it wasn't budgetary concerns.
The tape speaks for itself. I asked my deputy governor, can we hold it up for budgetary reasons? I was cutting $2 billion out of the budget at that time. He said we could. And what did I say? Quote, it's good to know. What didn't I say was hold it up. Stop it. And what did the person from the hospital say when he testified under oath? They got the money. And he also said they would have never gotten the money but for me and my personal intervention. And again, the jury was right to find no corruption.
Governor, let's wait. Go ahead. Let's find exactly what was said, because the CEO of Children's Hospital, Patrick Magoon, said shortly after you told him that the rate increase would be kicked in, that the Children's Hospital would get its money, your brother asked him to raise contributions. And then Magoon said this: I felt threatened. I felt at risk. Governor?
The answer is I never talked to him about a fundraiser. I never asked him to. My brother was making routine calls. Well, we're asking people to raise money who had raised money before, asking, and he didn't call him back, and and I didn't call him because I didn't want him to feel any undue pressure from me.
Then why did he testify that he felt threatened, he felt at risk? This is the head of Children's Hospital in Chicago.
I don't know if that. I don't know exactly what he thinks. I can't speak for him. I can simply say the facts are.
Well,
I never called him. My brother asked them for a fundraiser. They got $8 million reimbursement increase only because of me, which he testified to. And this is an upside-down charge, and the jury was right to find no corruption on that particular charge. They twist these facts and try to take some things out of context and piece them together. Again, the reality is the hospital got the money that they never got otherwise, but for me. I didn't get a fundraiser. Nobody pressured anybody. You ask for a fundraiser, they say no. The Democratic Senate President John Cullerton has publicly said that he's done favors for that very fellow, Mr. Magoon from Children's Memorial Hospital, and that has had fundraisers from that guy, Mr. Magoon. That's how politics works. As long as you don't expressly link one to the other, this is how the business works. These prosecutors are trying to take some things.
But you did expressly link in many cases one thing to the other. The Senate seat, maybe I can be the UN ambassador. The Senate seat, maybe I can get campaign contributions. Governor, let me ask you.
Chris, I talk to my lawyers all the time. I spoke to them on those telephone calls. There are hundreds of hours of conversations with lawyers and staffers that were not played in court. And I'm asking for advice.
You could have played some of that. You could have played some of that, sir, if you'd wanted to, and you chose not to. Let me ask you about the portrait.
And the government couldn't prove any corruption, which is precisely what there wasn't. There was no corruption.
Well, in some cases,
and they could not prove any corruption.
In some cases, it was 11-1. Let's talk about the portrait.
We didn't put a defense on it. We would call Rahm Emanuel and a whole bunch of other people the second time around to show exactly what was going on.
Let's talk about the portrait of you that was painted at the trial. Your deputy governor said that you spent 2 to 8 hours a week, not a day, 2 to 8 hours a week in the governor's office, and that he sometimes had to track you down, that you'd be hiding in the bathroom behind your office, and he'd have to track you down to discuss important budgetary matters.
You know, he also